Never text them again. Trust me on this. Stoicism. Stop. Put your phone down. Right now. I know you're probably thinking about texting. Someone who hasn't responded to you. Someone who's been playing games with your emotions. Someone who's made you question your worth based on whether they reply with 1 word or 10. Here's what I'm about to tell you, and I need you to really hear this. That urge you feel to send just one more text, it's not love. It's not caring. It's weakness disguised as persistence. And today, I'm going to show you why the ancient Stoics had the answer to this modern problem. 2,000 years before smartphones even existed. My name is your name, and over the next 50 minutes, I'm going to fundamentally change how you think about communication, relationships, and most importantly, your own self-worth. This isn't just about texting. This is about reclaiming your power, your peace of mind, and your dignity. But first, I want you to do something. In the comments below, write the word freedom. If you're ready to break free from the cycle of chasing people who don't value you. Don't explain. Don't add context. Just write freedom and commit to this journey with me. Part 1, The Modern Addiction. Let me paint you a picture. It's 11:47 p.m. You sent a text 3 hours ago. You've checked your phone 47 times. You've crafted 17 different follow-up messages in your head. Your heart races every time you hear a notification, only to crash when it's not them. Sound familiar? I used to be that person. I remember staying up until 2 a.m., analyzing the exact wording of someone's message, wondering if I said something wrong, crafting the perfect response that would finally make them care. I was a prisoner to my phone and, more importantly, a prisoner to other people's validation. Here's what's happening to us. The average person checks their phone 96 times per day. That's once every 10 minutes during waking hours. We've become addicted to the dopamine hit of receiving messages, and when we don't get it, we experience literal withdrawal symptoms. But here's where it gets interesting. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the Roman Empire, never had a smartphone. Neither did Seneca or Epictetus. Yet they solved the exact psychological problem we're facing today. They understood something we've forgotten in our hyper-connected world. Your peace of mind should never depend on another person's response. The Stoics called it attachment to outcomes, and they had a systematic way to cure it. But before we get to the solution, we need to understand why we're so addicted to chasing people in the first place. Part 2, the psychology of chasing. Let me ask you something. Why do you feel the need to text? Someone who doesn't text you back? The answer isn't what you think. Imagine you're at a casino. You put a coin in a slot machine. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But the wins are unpredictable. Sometimes you get nothing for hours. Then suddenly you hit the jackpot. This unpredictable reward schedule creates the strongest form of addiction known to psychology. That's exactly what's happening in your relationships. When someone responds to you sometimes, but not always. When they're warm one day and cold the next. When they leave you on red for hours, then send a heart emoji. You're experiencing intermittent reinforcement. Your brain becomes addicted to the uncertainty. Here's the brutal truth. You're not texting them because you care about them. You're texting them because you're addicted to the possibility that they might care about you. The Stoics understood this 2,000 years ago. Epictetus, who was literally a slave before becoming one of history's greatest philosophers, wrote, "Wealth consists in not having great possessions, but in having few wants. Replace wealth with peace of mind and possessions, with text messages, and you have the solution to your problem. Your emotional wealth doesn't come from getting more responses. It comes from needing fewer of them. But why do we need them so badly? Because we operate from scarcity. We believe that if this person doesn't want us, no one will. We believe that their attention is rare and precious, and we must fight for every crumb." Marcus Aurelius, who had literally millions of people seeking his attention, wrote how much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does. The Emperor of Rome understood something we've forgotten. Your worth isn't determined by who pays attention to you. It's determined by how little you need their attention to feel complete. But knowing this intellectually and living it practically are two different things. So let me show you exactly how the Stoics would handle your texting situation. Part 3. The Stoic Framework. Never text again. Here's what I want you to understand. The moment you send a text to someone who's been ignoring you, you give away your power. Not just your social power, your internal power, your peace, your self-respect. The Stoics built their entire philosophy on one fundamental principle, the dichotomy of control. There are things you can control and things you cannot control. Your job is to focus entirely on what you can control and become completely indifferent to what you cannot, what you can control. Whether you send that text, how you spend your time, who you choose to invest your energy in, your response to their behavior, your self-worth and inner peace. What you cannot control, whether they respond, how quickly they respond, what they think of you, whether they're with someone else, their feelings toward you. Every time you send a text to someone who's been ignoring you, you're trying to control the uncontrollable. You're literally fighting against the nature of reality itself, and you will lose every single time. Stoics had this concept called preferred indifference. These are things that are naturally preferable, like having people respond to your texts. But they're ultimately indifferent to your happiness and virtue. Would you prefer they texted you back? Sure. Should your emotional state depend on it? Absolutely not. Here's your new protocol based on pure Stoic principles. Step 1. The pause. Before you send any text to someone who's been unresponsive, pause. Ask yourself, am I sending this from a place of strength or weakness? Am I trying to control their response? Step 2. The reflection. Complete this sentence. I want to send this text because... If your answer is anything related to getting a response, getting attention, or changing their behavior, don't send it. Step 3. The redirection. Take all that energy you were about to spend on them and redirect it towards something you can actually control. Your goals, your growth, your other relationships. Marcus Aurelius had a general who constantly criticized him behind his back. The emperor's advisors suggested punishing the man. Marcus refused. He wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Instead of trying to control the general's behavior, Marcus focused on his own character. He became a better leader, not by fighting for respect, but by being worthy of it. Your situation is the same. Instead of fighting for someone's attention, become someone whose attention is valuable. Instead of chasing someone who doesn't appreciate you, become someone who attracts people who do. But I know what you're thinking. This sounds great in theory, but what about when I really care about someone? What if it's not just about attention? Let me address that directly. Part 4. But what if I really care? But I'm not just seeking attention. I genuinely care about this person. I hear you, and I'm going to challenge you in a way that might be uncomfortable, but it's necessary. There's a difference between caring about someone and being attached to them. Caring is wanting the best for someone regardless of what they give you in return. Attachment is needing something from them for your own emotional well-being. Let me ask you some questions. If you truly cared about them, would you respect their choice not to respond? If you genuinely loved them, would you want them to text you back out of obligation or genuine desire? If you really cared, would you be okay with them being happy without you? Here's the harsh truth. Most of what we call caring is actually attachment. It's disguised selfishness. We don't text them because we want them to be happy. We text them because we want to feel better about ourselves. Seneca wrote over 100 letters to his friend Lucilius. But here's what's remarkable. In every letter, Seneca was giving value, sharing wisdom, offering support. He wasn't seeking validation or demanding responses. He was genuinely caring without attachment. Real caring looks like this. I hope you're well. I'm here if you need me, and I'm completely okay if you don't need me. Stoics practiced something called outcome independence. They did the right thing regardless of the result. They were virtuous regardless of recognition. They loved regardless of being loved back. Here's an exercise. Write the text you want to send. Then ask yourself, would I send this exact message if I knew they would never respond? If the answer is no, then you're not actually caring. You're negotiating. Here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you stop needing someone's response, you become free to genuinely care about them. The moment you stop chasing, you become worth chasing. The moment you stop trying to control their feelings, you gain control over your own. I had a friend who would take days to respond to my messages. I used to analyze every word, craft perfect responses, feel anxious when they didn't reply quickly. Then I applied Stoic principles. I stopped expecting responses. I stopped crafting perfect messages. I just communicated authentically when I had something genuine to say. You know what happened? Our friendship got better. When I stopped being needy, I became more attractive as a friend. When I stopped being attached to outcomes, the outcomes actually improved. But here's what's more important than the improved relationship. I became free. I wasn't walking around with anxiety in my chest. I wasn't checking my phone every 5 minutes. I wasn't a slave to someone else's communication patterns. That's the real prize here. Not getting them to text you back, but freeing yourself from the need for them to text you back. But how do you actually achieve this internal transformation? Let me show you the practical steps. Part 5, the practical transformation. Theory is useless without practice. So let me give you a step-by-step transformation plan that you can implement starting today. For the next 30 days, you're going to completely transform your relationship with digital communication using Stoic principles. Week 1, the purge. Delete the numbers of people who consistently ignore you. Unfollow social media accounts that make you feel inadequate. Create a response anxiety journal. Every time you feel anxious about a response, write down why. Week 2, the redirect. For every text you want to send seeking attention, write a page in a journal instead. Channel that energy into a project, hobby, or goal. Practice the phrase, "Their response is not my concern." Week 3, the rebuild. Only send messages that add value to others. Practice communicating without expecting anything in return. Focus on becoming someone worth knowing rather than chasing people to know you. Week 4, the mastery. Become completely comfortable with silence. Send messages only when you have something genuine to say. Measure success by your inner peace, not by responses received. Morning reflection. Today I will focus on what I can control. I will not let others' responses determine my emotional state. I am complete with or without their attention. Evening review. Did I chase anyone today? Did I give away my power through desperate communication? How can I be more self-contained tomorrow? Think of attention as currency. When you constantly text someone who doesn't respond, you're literally giving away your most valuable resource for free. You're devaluing your own currency. Stoics understood this. They were incredibly selective about where they invested their mental energy. Set these non-negotiable boundaries. Never send more than one unanswered text. Never double text out of anxiety. Never send "Are you okay?" messages to people who regularly ignore you. Never explain yourself to people who don't value your communication. Every time you feel the urge to text someone who's been ignoring you, do one of these instead. Call a friend who actually values your communication. Work on a personal goal or project. Read something that improves your mind. Exercise or go for a walk. Write in your journal. The most important change isn't behavioral, it's identity. You need to stop seeing yourself as someone who chases and start seeing yourself as someone who attracts. Stop being a beggar of attention and become a provider of value. But there's something deeper happening here that we need to address. This isn't just about texting. It's about how you see yourself in relation to the world. Let me explain what the Stoics understood about human nature that can completely transform your relationships. Part 6, the deeper Stoic wisdom. We've talked about the practical aspects, but now let's go deeper. The Stoics understood something profound about human nature that explains why chasing people never works and why self-containment always does. Aristotle taught that the highest form of happiness comes from being self-sufficient, not needing anything external for your well-being. The Stoics took this further. They believed that anything external to your character is ultimately unreliable and temporary. This includes other people's responses to your texts. Epictetus was born a slave. He understood better than anyone what it meant to have your external circumstances controlled by others. But he discovered something remarkable. Even as a slave, his thoughts, his reactions, his character were completely free. He wrote, "No one can hurt you without your permission. No one can manipulate your emotions without your cooperation. When you sit there anxiously waiting for someone to text you back, you've made yourself a slave to their choices. You've given them control over your emotional state. You've handed them the remote control to your happiness." Here's what most people get backwards. They think that if they chase hard enough, care enough, Text enough, the other person will eventually value them. The opposite is true. The more you chase, the less valuable you become. The more available you are, the less they appreciate your availability. The more you need their response, the less likely they are to respond. Stoics discovered a beautiful paradox. The less you need from others, the more they're drawn to you. The more self-contained you become, the more magnetic you are. The more you focus on your own character, the more others respect your character. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own." Notice what he's not saying. He's not saying, "I hope people will be nice to me today." He's not saying, "I hope people will validate me." He's preparing himself to be virtuous regardless of how others behave. The ultimate Stoic teaching is this: your job is not to get others to treat you well. Your job is to be someone worthy of being treated well, and to remain unaffected when people fail to recognize your worth. External validation is like a drug. The more you need it, the more you need it. Internal validation is like a well. The deeper you dig, the more abundant it becomes. Every time someone ignores your text, they're giving you a gift. They're giving you an opportunity to practice self-respect, to practice outcome independence, to strengthen your character. The Stoics believed that everything happens for a reason, not in a mystical sense, but in a character-building sense. Every challenge is an opportunity to become more virtuous. That person who's ignoring your texts, they're your teacher. They're showing you exactly where you still need to grow. Conclusion and call to action. So here we are, at the end of this journey. You came here because you were probably thinking about texting someone who doesn't deserve your attention. I hope you leave here understanding that the person who most deserves your attention is you. Remember these Stoic principles. Focus only on what you can control. Your worth is not determined by others' responses. Caring without attachment is true love. Self-containment is magnetic. Every ignored text is a chance to practice self-respect. I'm going to give you a challenge. For the next 30 days, implement everything we've discussed. Delete that number you've been wanting to text. Focus on becoming someone worth knowing rather than chasing people to know you. In the comments below, I want you to make a commitment. Write what you're going to focus on instead of chasing people who don't value you. Maybe it's your career, your health, your hobbies, your real friendships. Write it down and commit to it publicly. Like this video if it helped you see your situation differently. Subscribe if you want more Stoic wisdom for modern problems. Hit the notification bell because I'm going to keep helping you build unshakable inner strength. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in his world, wrote in his private journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Your phone is not your master. Their response is not your validation. Your worth is not up for debate. You are enough. You have always been enough. And you will always be enough, regardless of who texts you back. Now go live like you believe it.